Well, hi everyone, it's Lulu Trevena here. I'm going to be reading my chapter from this beautiful book, Find Your Voice, Save Your Life. But firstly, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. So have you ever wanted to scream from the top of a mountain and say, what about me? Well, I definitely have. And that's very common for people that voices have been suppressed. And I work with women to reclaim their joy, reclaim their passion for life, and also to have the courage in themselves to know that they matter. I'm a quantum healer, art of feminine presence teacher, a soulful living coach, an author, an artist, a speaker, and a mother. And why I wrote this chapter is because I know what it's like to lose my voice. And the journey to reclaim it. So as soon as I heard the title of this book, the Diana Leader named this book, Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, I was like, yes, me, I'm in, I'm all in. So if you're someone who's looking to reclaim your voice and you've got a story, and you will actually be able to see yourself in the other author's stories. So please come and have a look at this beautiful book. We're going to drop the link in on Amazon. And I'm going to read my chapter, which is chapter 6. And chapter 6, I titled it, Unbutton Your Voice, Finding Freedom in Unabashed Full Self-Expression by Lulu Trevena. And I start with a quote from Danielle Burnock. Trauma is personal. It does not disappear if it is not validated. When it is ignored or invalidated, the silent screams continue, internally heard only by the one held captive. When someone enters the pain and hears the screams, healing can begin. As a young child, I was full of beans. I was often told I had ants in my pants. I so loved to be involved in everything that was happening. My nickname even reflected that. But that's another story. I was a child that did not want to miss a moment of life, filling my days with exploring and learning, the type of learning that is activated from purely being in this amazing world. I had my eyes wide open, on the lookout for the next interesting thing. Lucky for me, as part of my DNA, I was infused with a huge dose of curiosity. Children naturally have this, which is always refreshing to watch as an adult nowadays. Having a high level of curiosity has served me well throughout my life and is reflected in my business name today, Live Life with Wonder. I was born fourth in a large family of 6, all of us arriving in an 8-year period. There certainly was an abundance of little girl energy. Yes, 6 little mini females under one roof. As a red-headed, freckle-faced girl born in the early 60s in Australia, who could see some of herself in Pippi Longstockings, contrary to some expectations, I was not mischievous. I was much more the good girl archetype. A play by the rules, do the right thing, don't make trouble persona. These would also become ways I adapted to survive. Perhaps you also have a memory of adaptation, where you once felt much more of the wonder of life, then something abruptly disrupted that. And little by little, you closed off parts of yourself. Adaptation is a survival strategy. Society molds us and entrains us from birth, unfortunately for good and for bad. When traumatic and scarring events happen, this affects us deeply, cellularly, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, especially in the formative years before age 7. Often unconsciously, we close off parts of ourselves, and when we do this, our inner spark dulls. And while we can store these experiences in our body for some time, can our voices be hushed or silenced completely? We are all wired to adapt, survive, stay safe, not to be cast out by the clan, tribe, and our people. It is woven into our DNA. A quote by Friedrich Nietzsche: "Life is an instinct for growth, for survival, for the accumulation of forces, for power." I feel blessed to have had parents who were good, upstanding, community-minded people. We were a middle-class family with high values, hurled by a strong foundation of respectability. I was taught right from wrong with a good measure of the guidelines of the Catholic Church, just strict enough without being stifling. When I started school, the adventure of learning and exploring widened even more. Waking up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed daily, ready to go to school, finding wonder in the lessons and adoring my teacher was how I thrived. The world opened its next door and I saw endless possibilities. Cloud 9 had my name on it. At school, one morning, our teacher exclaimed, "We have a special treat in store next week." We were told about a football star coming to speak at our assembly. This was a rare occurrence, and the first one for me at the young age of 6. I fell intensely into the anticipation and excitement for this event. As you can imagine, a star of any kind is a big deal to a child. It did not matter that I knew nothing about Aussie rules football. To me, he represented some position of glory and recognition in the world. He came from that other place that children wondered about, the grown-up world, a different world even that their parents lived in, it often appeared. He represented a someone out there doing things, interesting, self-initiated, wondrous things in the big, wide world. Yep, I was eager. I wondered what he would flavor our little hearts and minds with. I anticipated magical stuff. Words of wisdom and inspiration to penetrate our souls, to grow brave and bold. I wanted a dose of that elixir. The day finally arrived. It felt like the sun was shining even brighter than normal. We were a gaggle of numerous classes and grades being ushered in together to the assembly area. Although dog-legged on the floor in preparation for our sports star guest speech, we were directed to sit in rows. The teachers were herding us in with ease. Everyone was orderly and on their best behavior. We had been reminded daily beforehand, best behavior, children. We were young and obedient. I was pretty sure I was going to be one of the children who could get a gold star that day. There were preliminary announcements and information shared by different teachers that seemed to drag on for eons. The wooden floor beneath me had no soft, comfortable spots to relax my 6-year-old little butt on. I felt hemmed in by all the legs, feet, arms, and bodies that filled the room. No walkways, just an ocean of students with an undercurrent of claustrophobia. I was fast losing my projected magic of this encounter. I stayed focused by internally telling myself calmly, sit still, be patient. He's coming out soon. After all, I was a good girl. I liked to do the right thing. This was the natural way I showed up. Be patient, I cooed to myself. I could not shake the claustrophobic feeling. I felt like the children were closing in around me. My spot on the floor was shrinking. When I could not take it anymore and my breath was feeling restricted, I stood up. Air flowed in through my lungs. I relaxed. I recovered. I then turned to my fellow classmates and quietly said, I have no room on the floor. Please, can you move over a little so I can sit back down? I asked for their support. I did not see the tall, bulky man walk on stage in my need to get comfortable and reshuffle. I did not know that he was staring straight at me and that his aura was one of displeasure. Until over the speakers in a loud, booming voice, like thunder cracking the sky wide open, I hear the bellowed word, you. It shook the whole building. I look around to see the enormity of him, a mountainous presence looming. I look around the room to see who he is speaking to, and in a split second, the weight of the world drops on me. He is talking to me. My face grows warm. I feel the claustrophobic feeling amplified. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. In a harsher tone, he commands, you, button your lip. Every child in the assembly is staring at me, an ocean of eyes. Some are making contorted faces. Some are laughing. Others hide their head in their hands. His loud voice bounces from wall to wall, floor to ceiling. It permeates the space assertively. It lacerates me at full force. My face is no longer warm, it is burning. My throat has the consistency of sandpaper lodged within it and abrasively scratching itself, trying to get free. And my breath is suspended. I pray indefinitely. I allow myself to be engulfed by the floor. My legs weaken and I drop down, and it swallows me up with fever. I oblige and pray I never have to return. I have no idea what he spoke about in his speech that dark, dreary day. I did not care. I do know the force of those words and his name were burnt into my young heart and soul, leaving a wound that lay burrowed deep, not the sort you could scratch to relieve. I think I split off, left myself, and lost a few days of that week, amnesia-esque style. No teacher, adult, or child offered me comfort. The world felt truly inhospitable and a barren wasteland. My parents would learn about the events of that day. It would be collected as a family story, told and retold, albeit void of the devastation and humiliation I felt, for that was nursed by me alone. I swallowed my humiliation down. I took that bitter pill of pain and said to myself, never, never, ever do I want to stand up in front of others. I dug a little pocket within me and stuffed it down, sealing it with my own voice by proclaiming, my words don't matter. My needs don't matter. I don't matter. After this, I amplified my good girlness. I stopped putting my hand up in class, for I did not want to speak out in fear of any more humiliation. I continued doing my schoolwork diligently. A part of me was lost to myself. I put on a good face. I could make out nothing was wrong, even though there was a huge void inside, a black hole tugging at me. My wonder bubble had popped. During the next year, on a day trip with my friend, we traveled home in their car, and I needed to go to the toilet, the restroom, but I was too afraid to ask. Getting my needs met in foreign situations was now a no-go zone, as far as I was concerned. I simply would have to hold it. My body had other ideas. I peed my pants through my underwear and my jeans, wet through, and not something that would go unnoticed when we arrived at my drop-off point. I hoped we got home in the dark, but we didn't. Humiliation compounded. I became trapped, my words just circling around my head, with no clear path, my own personal needs vacant to any support. I refused to reach out for anything from anyone. I was cornered and captured. Fear had me, birthed from humiliation with a huge dose of unworthiness festering. I fast realized I had not buried my feelings of humiliation deep enough, or had I? I had already been suffering from headaches weekly for a long time. While the headaches allowed me the space to retreat from the world for a while, it was quite a painful price to pay for the solace they might have offered. At 10 years old, I contracted hepatitis A. As a fastidiously clean child who disliked messiness or dirty hands, this was puzzling to my family. Hepatitis A was often associated with not washing your hands properly after going to the bathroom. I was known to pick up all the dead flies in the windowsills in my natural cleanliness and put them in the trash can. This is how they believed I contracted it. I was the only one in our family of 8 to get it. I was quickly isolated to an infectious hospital for 10 days. In my own room, away from everyone, me alone. Cast out. Unworthiness solidifying. The hospital had bars on the window. I was a prisoner. I would later learn this hospital was in the process of renovation. In its previous life, it was a psychiatric hospital, hence the bars. I was so tired and my skin was yellow, not a hue I had ever seen on another human being. The whites of my eyes also murky yellow. I was no longer full of beans or had a face I could adorn to hide my weariness. I knew some prayers from Sunday school, so I said them hourly, but mostly I was angry at God. I let the floodgates open, spilling forward my expression of anger, the ones I had bottled up, spewing out my toxicity while also bargaining, making promises to be even more of a good girl. Just please let me get better now. The 10 days were in slow, monotonous motion, alone, lethargic, behind bars, with a lot of thinking time. There was also extended imagination time, which aided my healing. I would make some lifelong decisions during that respite, especially around my health. I vowed that I would learn about health on every level: emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual from that moment forward. Quote by myself: I believe we are responsible for our own health and well-being. We need to advocate for ourselves, not give away our power to health professionals or anyone. I also vowed to find my voice, to not keep silent about things that matter. I was restored to the importance of speaking one's truth, unwavering, unabashedly. I made a self-declaration to let my voice be heard, even if I choked on every single word in the process. I reclaimed that my needs really do matter. Lying lifeless and limp taught me endurance, inner conviction, and self-reliance. My needs matter to me. Quote Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. 15 years later, my nerves would be jittery each time I presented and spoke in front of people as a technical advisor for Swatchkov, the hairdressing industry. It was my dream job, one that helped to sweep out much of the residual fear of speaking in front of large groups of people. Decades later, as a published author, which I call Voice in Print, and women's group facilitator and coach, my voice has more conviction. It is less wavering, and I infuse it with as much clarity and calm as I can. I'm less stopped by fear. I allow it to motivate me. I have found some nerves will always be there, encouraging me to be true to the words I choose to speak. As I speak my truth, I feel the freedom to push the edges of my self-expression, reclaiming all parts of myself. My life journey teaches me daily that it no longer serves me to keep parts of myself closed off or buried. I have found the real and imperative need to peel back the layers of my inner world to reflect something greater in the outer world. I consciously work on releasing what no longer serves me, what has reached its expiration date, what may have kept me in a self-depreciating, destructive loop in any way. I face the demons, the shadows, the lies, and the harsh words inflicted haphazardly. I know there will always be naysayers. I like to say my life is a work in progress, my own unique, messy masterpiece. One where I eagerly have color splattered on my hands. We all carry some burdens worth laying down. The sooner and the more consciously, the better. Help is always available. As we break free of our innate survival mode, we can move into self-sovereignty. I know without a doubt that it is a worthy journey to seek and to find the path of our wholeness and our voice. As we become healthier on all levels, more self-honoring and life-affirming, we create a world that enriches us and calls our hearts and voices to be heard, moving us from surviving to thriving. I desire for you to feel supported and guided by our stories here, to fully reclaim those parts as the worthiest of your life missions. Pain is detrimental. Silence can be deafening. You deserve to unbutton your voice. And that is the end of my chapter. So we're going to drop the link into the Facebook group so that you have that. Also, you can buy our book on Amazon. And if you're in Atlanta, of course, you can come and buy one from me. I'd love to see you. Where you can find me, my business name is Live Life with Wonder. And you can find me at www.livelifewithwonder.com. I'm Lulu Trevena. And I love to work with women who are wanting to embody this next part of their life, especially after 50. I'm also going to be leading a book called Wholehearted Wonder Women 50 Plus. It's coming out in June, so I can share more about that with you. And it's all about having confidence, creativity, and courage at any age. And I really want to give you the message of where in your life do you feel you've kind of shrunk, collapsed your voice, and where can you start taking those steps forward to reclaiming it? When you read this book and you read all the different chapters, these women have gone through many different experiences, and they stand strong in their courage. And I really want you to get the message from those and help that support you in whatever you are challenged with or whichever direction you're headed and you want that support. So please feel free to reach out to any of the authors. Thank you for listening today. Much love from me, Lulu Trevena. Live Life with Wonder. Okay, bye for now.